It started as the most ordinary morning for the Mitchell family, but ended in a way no one could have ever predicted. Evan Mitchell, a 28-year-old man known for his shy smile and gentle spirit, had been declared dead following a car crash that looked fatal in every sense. The vehicle was a mangled mess, his body unresponsive, and when the emergency services arrived, they found no pulse. The call was made at 3:41 a.m. The death certificate was signed. But Evan wasn't actually dead. 3 days later, the Mitchell family prepared for his funeral. The entire community gathered. Friends who hadn't seen each other in years reunited under sorrow. His mother, Margaret, wore the same black dress she wore when her husband died. She held Evan's childhood teddy bear in one hand, gripping it like a lifeline. His sister, Emily, read a poem he wrote when he was 15. And just as the pastor began reading the final prayer, the coffin creaked. At first, people thought it was the wind. But then they heard it again. A low, muffled thud. It was coming from inside the coffin. A scream shattered the silence. Margaret dropped the bear. The funeral director stumbled backward. The thuds turned into frantic banging. And then, the voice. Hoarse, confused, terrified. "Hello? Is anyone there? Please, help me. I can't breathe." The lid flew open, pushed up by trembling hands. There, lying inside, pale, drenched in sweat, and gasping for air, was Evan Mitchell, very much alive. What happened next felt like something out of a horror movie. People fainted. Someone called the police. EMTs rushed in, but Evan refused the ambulance. He sat up, his hands shaking uncontrollably, and asked just one question: "What day is it?" They told him. He was silent for a moment. Then whispered, "I was gone for 3 days, but I wasn't dead. I saw everything." They took him to the hospital for evaluation. Miraculously, apart from dehydration and weakness, he was physically fine. The doctors were baffled. The hospital reviewed everything. Heart monitor logs, death pronouncement forms. Everything looked accurate. But Evan had woken up in a sealed coffin at his own funeral. The story went viral in hours. News crews camped outside his house. Experts debated the phenomenon. Some called it a miracle. Others called it medical negligence. But Evan stayed silent, refusing all interviews. Until 7 days later, when he asked his family to gather in the living room. He said he needed to talk. Not about what happened in the hospital, but about where he went, when he wasn't here. Emily recorded the entire thing on her phone. What he said next would change their lives, and millions of others, forever. Evan sat in the chair across from his family, face pale, eyes distant. He looked like someone who'd seen something too large for words. He started slowly. "I remember the crash," he said. "The headlights. The sound of twisting metal. Then pain. Sharp. Everywhere. And then, nothing. I didn't wake up in the hospital," he continued. "I woke up in a room. Not a hospital room, something else. Everything was white, glowing, but it didn't hurt my eyes. It felt warm, peaceful. There was no ceiling, no walls. Just endless space. And in that space, there were people. Or maybe not people. Beings. Shapes. Light. But they had voices, and they knew me. They weren't angry or scary. They felt familiar. Like I'd known them forever. And they showed me things. My childhood. Times I forgot. Moments when I was kind. When I was cruel. They didn't judge, they just showed me. It was like watching my entire life play in front of me. And then they asked if I wanted to stay. Margaret whispered, "Stay where?" Evan looked at her. Where they were. In that place. And for a while, I thought I would. It felt safe. No pain, no fear. But then something happened. I heard your voice, Mom. You were crying. Calling my name. And I saw Emily holding my old guitar. I saw the funeral. All of you, standing there. I felt your grief like it was my own. And then I knew. I wasn't supposed to stay. He paused, tears in his eyes. One of the beings, it came closer. It didn't speak like we do, but I understood. It told me, "You're not done. Go back. There's something you still have to do." What? Emily asked. What do you have to do? Evan smiled, for the first time since waking. I don't know yet. But I will. The phone recording spread online. People argued over it. Was it real? A delusion? A near-death hallucination? Some tried to explain it with science. Others with faith. But no one could ignore it. Because Evan Mitchell was declared medically dead, and he came back with memories no one could explain. After the funeral that wasn't, Evan's life changed completely. He quit his job in corporate finance. Sold most of his belongings. And started visiting hospice centers, spending time with people at the end of their lives. He said he didn't have answers. But he had peace. And sometimes, that's all someone needs in their final hours. He started writing. Not books, but letters. Hundreds of them. To strangers, to patients, to people grieving. Handwritten, each one filled with kindness and understanding. The local paper ran a story calling him the man who returned with a mission. But one letter changed everything. A woman named Grace, who had lost her teenage son to suicide, wrote to Evan after watching the viral video. She said she hadn't spoken to anyone in weeks. That she'd planned to end her life on the same date the following year. But something in Evan's story, something in his eyes, gave her pause. She wanted to believe there was more. That maybe her son was still out there, in that warm place Evan described. Evan replied with a 4-page letter. It wasn't filled with promises or religious talk. Just memories. He shared how the beings showed him a moment he'd long forgotten, a time in high school when he comforted a kid crying alone in the hallway. The boy never said a word, but Evan just sat with him. That moment mattered, he wrote. Even though I forgot it, even though I thought it meant nothing, it mattered. Everything matters. Grace never ended her life. Instead, she started a foundation in her son's name, offering free therapy to teens in crisis. She credits Evan with saving her life. But Evan never sought fame. He disappeared from the spotlight just as quickly as he entered it. Some say he lives off-grid now, somewhere in the mountains. Others say he travels, helping people anonymously. No one knows for sure. What we do know is this: Evan Mitchell was dead. And then he wasn't. And what he saw, whether you believe it was heaven, a hallucination, or something beyond explanation, changed not only his life, but the lives of thousands. His story became more than a mystery. It became a reminder that maybe we're not alone. That maybe death isn't the end. And that maybe, just maybe, there's more waiting for us than we can imagine. So the next time you feel alone in the dark, or wonder if your life matters, remember Evan Mitchell. Remember the boy who woke up at his own funeral, and came back with a message not just for his family, but for all of us.